Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Jujutsu Kaisen episodes 6 and 7. So, first off, why both episodes 6 and 7? I think I said last time I was probably going to go back to one episode. Honestly, I just want to. I just want to watch more of this. It's literally that simple. I just want to continue watching more of this. And that gets into my next point. This is being recorded literally like 2 weeks ahead of time. Like, this is our Saturday series. You're seeing this on the 13th, I believe. Let me just check to be sure. Yeah, the 14th. Sorry. You're seeing this on the 14th. And I am recording this on Friday the 29th of April. So you're seeing this basically 2 full weeks plus a day ahead of time. Or I'm recording this 2 full weeks plus a day ahead of time. And it's just because I want to keep getting to it. Plus, I've been actually on a really big recording boom lately, and I'm just ahead of the game. So, it's really that simple. And so I want to record more of this because I'm very much enjoying it. I'm very excited about it. I'm in love with these characters. I'm in love with the stories and the situations, and I just want to see more. I actively want to see more, especially after the last 2 episodes, our 2-parter for Cursed Womb Must Die. With how that ended, with Itadori being dead, it's going to be interesting to see. It's obvious he's going to come back. It's obvious that, God, what is his name? Sukuna. It's obvious Sukuna is going to bring him back, and it's probably going to be through something that Sukuna mentioned in the last episode, which I don't know if I fully caught during the reaction, but I definitely caught it on rewatches, and other reactors definitely noticed it as well. Sukuna mentioned something very briefly at one point about the fact that Itadori didn't create a pact with him. That how can he expect to keep maintaining control without even having created a pact or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording. But that kind of implied at that moment that a pact was possible. That they could forge a legitimate, like, not bond, that feels like they're, like, coming to an understanding, really, but more so that they could form an agreement to work together for mutual benefit. And that in that case, Sukuna would actually start to help Itadori, and that they would work together more than as 2 opposing forces in one body. And we know for a fact that Sukuna can heal very, very well. So, if they create this pact, which does seem to possibly be hinted towards, then Sukuna can probably still heal Itadori. It might not be too late. Which is definitely the best case scenario. And hopefully is what's exactly going to happen, because it just makes the most sense to me, and it's the most clear-cut way. Now, we know that one guy who was hanging out with the curses, we know he fully believes that Itadori and Sukuna will be back, that he even told the one guy who, by the way, in the Japanese, in the original Japanese, the voice actor for the one demon with, like, the volcano on his head, I call him a demon, he's basically a demon. The curse with the volcano on his head, his Japanese voice actor is the same voice actor as Itadori's grandpa, as well as Buggy the Clown from One Piece, which I think is really fucking funny. And there's points where he's actually screaming There's a couple small points where that character is screaming in the last episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, and you can very much hear Buggy in there. So it's really funny. We're obviously still doing the dub though. That's not going to change, just as a reminder. Um, but yeah, I'm very much invested to see how this all goes down. We also saw last time that Nobara and Fushiguro are going to be helping out the second years with this cross school promotional tournament, basically, you could call it. Where one day is team fights and the next day is single fights. So I'm wondering if we're going to get just maybe an episode or two of that, or if there's going to be a full arc, or I'm just curious. But either way, I kind of want to know more about these other characters. There was the girl Zenin, who apparently is really highly skilled at different cursed weapons. The kind of things like you saw that Itadori had, the big sword. Well, dag. It was more of a dagger, more of a knife than an actual sword, but it was really big, but not like long. You know what I mean? It wasn't really a sword. Um, and then you had Panda, who we learned pretty much nothing about there. Um, he's just kind of there. But he seems to have a fun personality. And then the other guy, whose name I don't remember, but he apparently uses cursed speech, which explains why I guess he normally only speaks in food ingredients. Um, and why the opening specifically does show him like like pulling down his collar to unveil his mouth. Clearly his words contain power, and that's how he fights. Which is not a new concept. I've seen it done before, but it's always kind of a cool idea. It's like it's kind of like a bard power. Like, let's be honest, it's a bard power, just words containing literal magic and powers and stuff. Um, but I'm definitely interested to see his abilities in action in this series. And there was one other member who was also hinted at, who Fushiguro said was the only one he actually respects, but that he's away at the moment. So that might be the other guy in the opening who's shown at the end, hanging out with Itadori and the others. That would be my guess. But I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't know for sure. So from this episode, I definitely expect to see how Itadori is brought back. Again, my biggest guess is he's going to form a pact with Sukuna, just based off of that little hint of that we got in the previous two episodes. I don't remember if it was episode 4 or 5 that Sukuna mentioned that in. I actually don't remember. I think it was episode 5, because I think he was talking to Fushiguro at the time. But either way, I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping to see our other main characters' reactions to him coming back. Yada, yada, yada. I don't know what else is going to happen during these episodes. I don't know what else to expect. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'm definitely invested in this series already. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Let's just get this started. Hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we're back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So we now know why Gojo doesn't, why he wears the blindfold. Because if he didn't wear that blindfold at all times, he would just be giving people orgasms constantly. I I don't know how apparent it was, but like when it revealed his eyes and everything, it's just like I'm not gonna okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was turned on. um, I've kind of mentioned it before. Um, I think at least, but I can find myself a lot of times very attracted to someone's, even just a character's, eyes. I sometimes find eyes to be very attractive. Um, and I've mentioned this in like even with One Piece, like the character Sasuke. His eyes, I have continuously mentioned, are very pretty. And it's just like sometimes there's characters or even people in real life where it's just like their eyes are just really attractive to me and really just people say eyes are the window to the soul in a way, and a lot of times eyes can completely make an entire face. They can completely they complete the face in a way and make the kind of emotion and depth added to it that otherwise isn't there. Um, which is why oftentimes when you see like some kind of demonic creature or whatnot in media that has no eyes, oftentimes they either have like caved in like features around that area to where it's like there would still be some kind of emotion there, or the rest of their face is over exaggerated in a way to showcase emotion, to replace the eyes that aren't there in a way. But usually the eyes are a big bastion of emotion for a person's expressiveness. um, so it's just like eyes are really important to character design. I fully stand by that. Like you can have like great outfits or hair or a cool looking mouths or whatnot. I guess, but if you don't have good eyes, it's like at least for the face, it's not. It doesn't feel complete, in my opinion, at least. So it's like when I oftentimes see a character with like really well handled eyes in their design, it's like I note that, but also because of that and because of like even real life and everything, I do also find that I can be very much attracted to really pretty eyes. And I don't know how apparent it was when it happened, when the reveal happened. I don't know like how, like, because I can only go from my perspective. So I don't know, like, even if I watched it again, it's like I'm seeing it still from my perspective. I don't know, like, what you guys thought watching that, but it's like, I was practically, like, I, I, oh my God. I, 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 I was having a hard time holding it in. Um, it was a huge turn on. His eyes are absolutely gorgeous. And it's like they did not need to do this. They did not need to make his eyes that fucking gorgeous. They did not need to turn me on so bad. But they did. I don't know. I don't even know if that's a popular opinion or anything. I don't know if like that's a common feeling people have towards this episode or the equivalent chapter in the manga or whatnot. Um, I don't know if this is like a common feeling that people get with this reveal, but for me, it's without a doubt. It's like during that moment, even if I didn't show it too well, even if you guys didn't like may not have noticed as much, but I was that really got to me. Like there's certain characters in various media that like really turn me on hard. But that one was that was new to me that I had that visceral of a reaction. um I was obviously making a bit of a joke with the entire like if he didn't keep his blindfold on all the time, he would just be constantly giving people orgasms. But it's like at the same time, it's like I'm kind of it's kind of just there. um, it's I kind of do believe that. I mean, like I've seen many characters drawn very sexy, but that's again to have that visceral of reaction is new to me. There's been a lot of characters I've found very attractive and have notably felt so, like when watching or reacting or whatever, but not to that degree. Not to the degree where I had a very noticeable, in my opinion, again, from my perspective, a very noticeable physical reaction to that. Um, I do not know if it was. God, I don't know how like noticeable it was on my face, for example. Like I don't know if like I was going really red or anything, but I was really like that was a lot to handle. And I know I'm really like leaning into this. I've been talking for like 7.5 minutes or so on this, but it's like my God, it's just it was that visceral for me. It was that strong of a turn on. Um, I'm surprised I could keep watching. I'm surprised I didn't have to pause that and collect myself and splash cold water over my face or something because I was not handling myself well. Oh, my mind went places. Oh, my mind went to a lot of places. Let's talk about these episodes so we can kind of move on though. Let's uh let's move on from me like losing my fucking mind over how fucking hot Gojo is for a moment. Let's talk about the actual content of these episodes. So, episode 6 was very much like a training episode. So we see at the beginning Itadori and Sukuna, just like I had guessed and predicted and everything. We get to see the the pact being made. This was something that was mentioned in the previous episodes, um, and it's just like, even if it was just briefly, it's like, okay, that's clearly gonna be something. Um, but we get to see the details of that now. We find out that what we saw there was Itadori talking to Sukuna inside his domain, which is kind of, in this case, in his mind. So we get to see them talking about, the pact and everything. Sukuna explains what it is and even explains um, his two kind of, would you call it? What did he call it? I'm sorry, my mind is so frazzled right now because of Gojo, but um, he has two conditions. That's the word. Two conditions about the pact. The first one is that whenever he chants this certain word, I don't remember what the word was, but whenever he chants it, he takes control of Itadori for 1 minute. And within that 1 minute, he will not hurt or attack or kill anyone that Itadori considers a friend or whatnot. Anyone on Itadori's side. So it kind of makes you wonder what his goal then is. If he's agreeing to not hurt or attack anyone, what is his actual goal? Why does he want that 1 minute? I feel it's not for good reason. But the second part, the second condition, is that Itadori will not remember the first condition, which we do see in action in episode 7. We see that Itadori does not remember what the actual condition of the pact was. And that's going to be interesting, because that, I assume that means that if Sukuna chants this, then Itadori will, like, subconsciously, without necessarily actively choosing to, he'll subconsciously surrender his body for 1 minute to Sukuna, which is really interesting to think about. And Sukuna mentions as well that he even implies that every time Itadori was able to take control back, Sukuna let him. And that that might just be Sukuna, like, maybe taunting Itadori and maybe, like, trying to, like, make himself seem more in control than he has been. But that's kind of what he says. And so I think that's a lie, because that seems to contradict what we've seen before. He seemed more surprised when Itadori was able to take control back. And he even seemed surprised when Itadori wasn't able to take control back in the last 2 episodes. So I think he's lying. I think he's just saying that to Itadori. But either way, the pact is completed. Even though Itadori doesn't initially agree to it, and he only agrees, like, oh, Sukuna's like, okay, we'll fight. If I win, we do it with the conditions. If you win, I'll heal you without any conditions. And Itadori's like, okay, and then just instantly gets killed. Which, technically, getting killed in the mind, he doesn't actually die, because then Sukuna brings his body back to life and everything, and so he's good. I love when he just sits up in the coroner's office and everyone's just looking at him, and then Gojo just starts laughing about it. It's just like, that's great. That was a great reaction to it. And Itadori's first questions are like, where are my clothes? Why am I naked? What's going on here? But he's not, like, offended, or he's not, like, rushing to cover himself. He's just, like, asking why he's naked. Like, there's this woman, this grown woman next to him. He's not worried about covering himself. Gojo's right there. Ichichi's right there. He's not worried about covering himself. He has no shame. He has nothing to hide. He's proud. What the fuck is this show? Oh. I'm just in some kind of mood right now because of Gojo, that it's like I'm kind of losing it. But yeah, so Gojo decides to train him using one of the principal's cursed corpse dolls. And basically he's training him to use his cursed energy, to master controlling it by watching these emotional movies while holding the cursed corpse. The doll will stay asleep if it gets a steady supply of cursed energy. But if at any point that breaks, the doll wakes up and attacks Itadori. So Yuji has to learn how to control that and to keep the energy flowing into the doll. And eventually, as we see in episode 7, he does learn pretty quickly how to do so. Also, Lord of the Rings was in there, which was funny to me. I almost kind of wonder if that other action movie with the cutting of the wires was a real movie at all. I've seen multiple action movies with, cutting the wires of a bomb. That's actually a super common trope, but still. I wonder if that was specifically a real movie that they were referencing. During this episode, while Yuji's learning about all this training stuff, we also see Fushiguro and Nobara taking some training from the second years. Just some basic stuff. Nobara's being swung around by Panda and everything, learning how to fall properly, which I guess makes sense when you think about it. In a fight, you have to learn how to fall and land, and just handle your situation, your body within the space of wherever you're at in order to properly recover. So that makes sense. I actually get that. Um, and we see Fushiguro is starting to figure something out as well. He puts his hand through these stone steps, and it's like, okay, he's figuring something out. We don't know what it is yet, though. Um, but we also get some really fun references in the episode. Like Itadori references a bunch of different anime and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, dude, including Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho and Naruto. Those three I noticed for sure. I don't know if he mentioned any others after those, but it's like I feel like a lot of these kinds of anime though that are being referenced are in actual direct inspirations to this series. You can kind of see the inspirations of Yu Yu Hakusho in there. Obviously, the inspirations of Bleach are pretty heavy. Um, and I guess you can kind of see a little bit for Naruto too, other than Gojo just kind of looking like Kakashi a little bit. Except like when they did like the face reveal eventually, when they finally did that for Kakashi, it was honestly just kind of underwhelming. It's just like, oh, okay, that's exactly what I expected. But when they do the face reveal for Gojo, it's like, oh my god, please take me. I'm like, also they did the face reveal for Gojo a lot quicker, which I appreciate, and also I'm very fixated on. Yeah. And then at the end of the episode, Gojo and Ijichi are heading out, driving off. Gojo has him stop the car and has him go on without him. And then we get the volcano head, Jogo, I think his name was. He arrives and, yeah, about to start a fight. And that's where episode 7 comes in. Episode 7 is pretty much almost entirely the Gojo versus Jogo fight. We do get a little bit before that of the cafe scene, which really fucked me up. This... Actually, was the cafe scene in episode 6 or 7? Now I'm not entirely sure. I can actually check right here. I have episode 7 still up on the player, so let me see if that was in this episode. No, it looks like that was episode 6 as well. Okay, so let's talk about the cafe scene, because that really fucked me up. And with the entire reveal of Gojo's eye is like absolutely gorgeous, like soul-catching eyes. It's like these two episodes like threw me into a whole loop of emotions, because that cafe scene really did fuck me up. Like there's certain scenes in certain anime that really just bother me on a very personal, very emotional level, that really just like get to me in a way that nothing else does. Like I've seen plenty of horror anime and plenty of gory anime with a lot of like people dying in some pretty gruesome ways, but most of them I can handle. One example, and I think I've talked about this before, that I actually have a lot of trouble with is Blood C. Is Blood C or Blood... God damn it, is it Blood C or Blood Plus? I always get those two fucking confused. Now I have to make sure. I have to make sure I get the right one, because they're two very different things. It's Blood C, okay. Blood C. There's this part, I think it's near the end of the series, of Blood C, where there's a lot of like really gruesome deaths, almost kind of back to back, and it's like characters you know as well as just a bunch of random people, involving what are basically demons. I forgot exactly what they're called in Blood C. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, there's like these bunch of demons. Some of them like look like rabbits, for example, which are pretty well known. And the kind of things they do. There's this one that looks like a manticore, and it's like the fucked up things that happen in those death scenes. Like you see one girl literally have her legs like pulled to such a degree that it literally splits her body in half. and stuff like that. You see another girl just like smacked repeatedly against the ground so hard that it just obliterates her practically, and she's eaten. You see the bunnies like put a bunch of people in this giant sack and then grind them down into this bloody mess, and it's like Blood Sea, amongst all kinds of other anime with gruesome, gory deaths and everything. It's like for some reason the deaths at that part in Blood Sea, specifically those like end of the series deaths, really fuck me up. Like, they really bother me. And I can't explain why they, more than other things in other anime or even that anime, bother me so much, but they do. And this cafe scene was kind of on that level, not quite to the exact same level as the Blood Sea deaths, but very, very close. And again, I can't fully explain it, but just seeing the first guy die didn't bother me really at all because I kind of expected it. I was wondering, like, would they actually just randomly kill these people? And then I'm kind of like thinking it through, and it's like, probably. Or at least if anyone approached the table. So I'm expecting, like, okay, so this guy approaches the table. I'm kind of expecting he's probably gonna die, isn't he? They're kind of setting that up. The one dude even like, okay, fuck it, I'm out, I quit. That dude got off lucky. Because then, after the first guy is burned alive, Jogo, without warning, continues to just absolutely incinerate everyone in there, just for no reason. Just absolutely incinerate and murder everyone in there. Like kids, adults, these two teenage girls we saw, and this woman's like this waitress or whatever is trying to escape. She's freaking the fuck out, and she gets like she's crawling along the ground to the door, and then like right as it opens and everything, it's like she dies too. It's like just fuck. It just I don't know. Again, I can't explain it. But it bothers me on such a fundamental emotional level that it just... I know I'm going to end up watching it again with multiple reactions, and it's going to fuck me up every time. Luckily, I'll have Gojo's eyes to look forward to keep me warm at night. But the fight between Gojo and Jogo in episode 7 is so one-sided. It's so blatantly obvious that Jogo's not doing shit to him. We already know that Gojo is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer. That's been made very apparent. And so seeing Jogo, like, who's compared to, like, 8 fingers of Sukuna, it's like, when he's compared to that, it's like you instantly know, oh, Gojo's still stronger then. Because Gojo has said, with confidence, that even if Sukuna were complete, which is 20 fingers, that even if Sukuna were complete, he would still win. Which is something that may seem to some people like just cockiness, but I think he means it. I think he's entirely serious about that. I don't think it's just cockiness or too self-assured or anything on his part. I think that he genuinely knows that he would win. So it's like just 8 fingers. It's like, dude, you're not even half the way there. So it's like when we see them start to fight, it's like, oh no, you, honey, you stand no chance. It's just like, even when like you see like it seems like Gojo's head is burning up, and you see Jogo punch Gojo in the chest and everything. Like, even before you find out about the entire infinity thing. Which, by the way, is fucking whack as hell. Like, not in a bad way. It's like, that is just fucking wild. Just the concept of that, just... I can't comprehend it. It just kind of makes no sense to me, but in the best way. I'm not saying it as an issue with the series. It's just, it's so incomprehensible to me. but in a really good way, in a really fun way. Um, but yeah, we know the entire fight that Gojo is toying with him. And so when all of a sudden he disappears for a few seconds and then comes back with Yuji, it's like, oh, you're really fucking with this dude. You're really toying with him. And then he's like, okay, Yuji, I'm going to show you, like, I'm going to teach you here. You're going to learn about domain expansion. And then you eventually found out, like, what happened when he actually went back and caught Itadori, or went back to get Itadori and everything. But yeah, the fight was, again, one-sided. You see him take off Jogo's head and everything. And eventually the other one that cannot be understood, the curse whose voice is like backwards or something, which apparently the human guy can understand. He goes in to save Jogo. And apparently he uses this ability that creates these flowers, and according to Gojo, at least, seems to sap him of his will to fight a little bit. Like, creates this apathy of sorts, which is really interesting. Because I remember that being done in Ruby, and I remember how much I love it in Ruby with the Grim, the apathy. They were really fucking scary, but also their ability to create apathy in people and make them not have the will to fight was also really fucking scary. But we see that this dude is clearly stronger than Jogo, which is actually a surprise. I, for some reason, thought Jogo was kind of the strongest of the curses there. Not necessarily stronger than the human, who's probably a Jujutsu sorcerer. That would be my guess. But definitely, I thought he was the strongest of the curses, but apparently not. I wonder if the squid-like one, or octopus-like one, whatever you want to call it, I wonder if that one's even stronger than Jogo as well. What if Jogo was actually the weakest of those curses? That would be funny. Either way, he's just a head now, so I don't know if he can recover from that. I mean, curses we've seen, especially special grade, have healing abilities, but that's a pretty damaging, like, that's pretty bad. That's not, he's literally just a head. If he can recover from that, I don't think it's going to be a quick thing to do. But yeah, so the curses end up going along eventually to where the human already went. I haven't gotten their names down yet. But they go into this what seems like another domain. It's like this island beachside, and there we meet the guy with the scars on his face who does the tongue licking blood thing in the opening. So he's a major antagonist, clearly. In fact, this entire group seems to be the major antagonist, at least for this part of the story. I'm definitely interested to see what they can do and what their entire thing is. I assume both the Scarface dude and the other human, I assume they're both Jujutsu sorcerers. And I'm very interested to see what Flower Man can do. Definitely interested to see more of those powers in action, as well as the octopus dude. But either way, we have not even seen the extent of Gojo's powers yet. Like, we've only seen a small bit of them. And we know that the villain's plans, the curse group's plans, are still to incapacitate Gojo, but it seems like they're waiting for the right time and place. And Jogo was kind of acting on his own here. And that they still want to get both Yuji and Sukuna on their side. Both of them, specifically. So, I wonder if Sukuna might use that 1 minute time frame with his with the pact to do something in regards to that. I'm kind of afraid he will. But we'll see in the future. Either way, we're gonna just end this here so I can do something else to try to get my mind off of simping on Gojo forever. Um, because I very much need to get my mind off of that, because otherwise I'm going to be in no place to do anything else for a while. Um, I'm not going to be able to record for a little bit. Like that's going to just be on my mind. I need to get my mind off of that, or at least just calm myself down a little bit, at the very least. But tell me in the comments below, what did you think of these two episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen? What did you think of the fight between Gojo and Jogo? What did you think of the cafe scene? What did you think of the eye reveal? Just let me know your thoughts. I know I'm recording this 2 weeks earlier than it's being posted, but still, it's like that was a lot to deal with, and maybe in 2 weeks I'll be less affected by Gojo's sexiness. I'll at least be able to control myself a little better. Either way, tell me your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.